You're not meant to hold the world together alone, and your body and spirit have been trying to tell you that. That's the message arriving from Demeter, the Greek goddess of harvest, life force, and the turning of seasons, stepping forward today as the Queen of Cups. Hi, love. Welcome into your Timeless Mythos reading. I'm so grateful you're here. Whether you're returning or joining our circle for the very first time, please know that you are welcome, wanted, and completely safe here with me and my guides. I'm Christina. I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine and an intuitive channel. And today's reading is going to move through 3 parts. First is the myth itself. This is the story of the archetype who came forward for you. Then we'll get into the deeper healing themes that's revealing in your life right now. And then finally, a full card reading so you can receive guidance on the shifting dynamics at play. If this video found you, you can trust there is something in it that is meant for you. But please do keep in mind this is a general reading. So take the parts that resonate for you, leave what doesn't. That part's for someone else, okay? And when something does land, go ahead and like the reading to claim the energy, pull that into your world. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so future Mythos messages can tune more directly to your frequency. All right, so now let's anchor in to our awareness of the present moment and step back into the mythos together. Before temples rose in her honor, before the first seeds were planted by men, Demeter walked the earth with the steady grace of a woman who understands devotion. Where she stepped, wheat thickened, olives ripened, and warmth returned to cold hillsides. She wasn't simply a goddess. She was nourishment made divine. Her daughter Persephone was springtime embodied, bright, curious, carrying laughter like light. And here, the telling of the myth splits. Some say Persephone was taken, dragged underground by Hades. Others whisper that she fell in love, disappearing from an overbearing mother by choice, drawn to a destiny the surface world would never understand. Still others say the story of her abduction was simply the version told by those who could not imagine a young woman choosing a life that pulled her away from her mother's arms. The truth is lost to time and myth. But one thing is certain: Persephone vanished, and Demeter felt the loss profoundly and instantly, as if the axis of the world had shifted beneath her feet. She searched the earth barefoot, her cloak heavy with dust, her voice raw from calling her daughter's name. She wandered meadows still echoing with Persephone's laughter, mountains where the wind carried no answer, seashores whose tides whispered nothing back. Her grief was so total that she forgot to bless the land. And the land answered with stillness. Wheat withered on the stalk, fruit shriveled, the world cool. A slow winter crept over villages and fields and stayed. This was not vengeance. It was a truth revealed that a heart stretched past its limit cannot keep producing life. Eventually, wandering in her grief, Demeter disguised herself as an older mortal woman, forgetting her own nature, and was eventually taken in by a noble family in Elefsina. They asked her to nurse their fragile infant son, Demephon. And in her grief, in her hollowed tenderness and longing, she poured all of her fierce love into that child. She fed him, soothed him, held him against her own heart. Each night she whispered ancient blessings over his small body, hoping to protect him from the kind of loss she had lived. One night she held him over the sacred fire, trying to burn away his mortal weaknesses, to make him strong enough to withstand everything. But when the boy's mother walked in and screamed, the shock of that cry snapped something awake in Demeter in a single instant. She remembered who she truly was. Not a nursemaid, not a grieving wanderer, not even a woman trying to replace what she lost, but a goddess, a force of nature, a being whose very power shaped the seasons of the planet. She stepped out of the shadows of self-forgetting, revealed her true form, and the world trembled with recognition. Not long after Demeter learned the painful truth, Persephone lived, not a captive, but a sovereign queen of the underworld alongside Hades. And so a bargain was struck. Part of the year, Persephone would return above and spend with her mother. Part of the year, she would descend below and spend with her husband. And so the seasons of the earth were born. When Persephone rises, Demeter's heart bursts open, spring erupts, warmth spills across the land, growth returns in impossible colors. And when Persephone descends, Demeter withdraws, not broken, not defeated, but a movement inward. Winter is a season for her to gather, to heal, to rest, to remember, and to let the world breathe while she restores her inner strength. Her myth is not about loss, it's about remembering. It's about the moment you stop abandoning yourself and reclaim the truth of who you are. That is the medicine Demeter brings you now. As the Queen of Cups, Demeter appears when you've been giving more than your system can really sustain. For some of you, this has been showing up in your body as exhaustion, tension, migraines, interrupted sleep, digestive issues, feeling like your limbs are heavy, aches and pains, and just a general inability to do what you usually do, which is suck it up and push through. For others of you, it's showed up spiritually as a loss of passion or comfort in silence, an emotional fog, creative numbness, a resistance to the obligations that you signed up for, and a feeling that your own inner spark has been dimmed. You might actually feel a combination of all of it. All the ways that this shows up are valid and meaningful. These are boundaries from your body and spirit being voiced through different layers of your being. Demeter teaches us that when you cannot say enough, your system will say it for you. In Chinese medicine, we know that prolonged overgiving drains the entire ecosystem of the self. Your spleen chi will collapse under excessive emotional labor. Your liver chi stagnates when you silence your needs. Your heart Shen, that spark, that light in your eyes, it dims when your giving outpaces your receiving. And your kidney essence, that building block for every process in your body, it drains when over-responsibility outweighs rest. Your system didn't shut down because you're broken or fundamentally flawed in some way. It's shutting down because your life force refuses to continue repeating an old story that hurts you. Just like Demeter's winter wasn't a failure, this was her spirit saying, I can't keep giving like this. That winter protected her, and your inner winter is protecting you. Now here's a layer of nuance that Persephone brings into the story. It's that not everything that leaves you has been stolen. Sometimes the things that disappear, it might be energy, motivation, emotional bandwidth, that inner fire. It's not lost, but it's transforming in a place deeper than you can see. Your vitality may have gone underground because it needs to evolve, to strengthen, to become sovereign in ways that your old patterns and ways of being couldn't hold. Your system is guiding you toward rest, nourishment, alignment, healthy boundaries with emotional honesty, spiritual reconnection, and the reclamation of the parts of yourself that you abandoned in order to keep functioning past your limits. Your spirit remembers spring. Your body remembers nourishment, and your life force remembers how to bloom. Your body and spirit chose you. Now you get to choose yourself back. A few messages from Demeter while I shuffle the cards. Your system intervened to protect you. Now rise from the truth it revealed. You are not meant to carry everything. Your shutdown was an act of protection, not failure. What left you may have been evolving, not disappearing. Your body and spirit are calling you home. Nourishment is your birthright. Your next season will be built on honesty, not endurance. You deserve rest as much as renewal. You are becoming sovereign in ways the old you could not hold. In this story of Demeter, we're really seeing multiple themes that have to do with overgiving, with really the essence of Queen of Cups energy of when we're out of balance with our emotions, when we overgive, when we abandon ourselves for others, when we really have a degree of codependency. And I hate to use that word often because it has so much like sticky emotional yogginess connected to it. That's a very technical term, y'all. But really this codependency where I'm enmeshed in someone else to the degree that I'm not feeling and seeing my own power and my own capacity outside of my relationship with them, where I lose myself in that relationship. And this can happen in mother-daughter relationships, so in parent-child, it can happen in friendships, in business relationships. What this is really reflecting are issues with self-worth, with sovereignty, and with healthy boundaries with others, a feeling of safety, whether or not others like what you're doing, and whether or not you like what others are doing, because boundaries aren't just about protecting me from you. They're just as much about protecting you from me and my tendency to overextend or over-involve, which is one of the alternate readings of the Demeter and Persephone myth. When we look at this notion that we don't know, was Persephone abducted, or was that the story that was told because she actually fell in love and ran away and escaped a mother who loved her to the ends of the earth, but maybe was a little overbearing and had trouble with boundaries? So let's take a look here. The energy underneath this reading, we had patience that came out face up, family, joy, and patience. So there's something here as we're looking at this. Oh, I want to make sure I'm not. Okay, good. Sometimes I go a little bit outside the frame. I needed to check the camera. Looking at family, joy, and patience. So as we're seeing this dynamic of Demeter or Demeter, we can be looking at how your family relationships, it could be your family of origin, your chosen family, your friends, or a family that you've created with a partner or by yourself, at how this energy is seeking to evolve in a way that will actually allow you to have more joy in your life, more connectedness in your life, and also this requirement for patience as we look at change. As we look at, these are deep emotional dynamics, okay? This didn't spring up overnight. And it didn't come from nowhere either. It's not a character flaw if you found yourself enmeshed in relationships and struggling with healthy boundaries. And in fact, it's something that many of us have been trained into from the time we were very, very young, that my worth is based on how other people feel about me or making others happy. So let's take a look. So we had face up here, Page of Swords, and then we also had the Five of Pentacles and Magician, but these guys came after and kind of covered them a little. Page of Swords is all about a new idea, a new inspiration. You see this little person kind of skipping along, walking on a tightrope, reading a book, holding or carrying what would be, like hot air balloons, right? But not helium balloons, floating balloons. But they're actually light bulbs. This is all about new ideas. And we also have here a little bit covered, but this is the Five of Pentacles, which is energy of feeling left out, like you can't get into where you want to be. It's a little bit of that Queen of Cups, that Demeter energy. And then the Magician, which says that you can create any change you want to have. We have the Four of Pentacles in the reverse. Four of Pentacles is all about the structure of the things that you do that build the life that you want. So this is the energy, again, that you're coming into this reading with as we look at how is this myth playing out in your life. And we know this is related to family and to finding joy in family and dynamics shifting somehow in relationship. And so we see this Four of Pentacles in reverse, this idea that something has been building and it's not really satisfying at this juncture. It's been building over a very long period of time, but the structures that exist inside this dynamic really aren't serving you. And if they're not serving you, they're not serving anyone, by the way. It's never true. People like to point at the person who speaks the problem and say, oh, there was never a problem until they made one. But that's just not true. There is a problem. It's just being hidden. It doesn't serve anyone when these things are swept under the rug. If someone is having to suffer for other people to feel okay, there's nothing healthy or acceptable about that dynamic. And you shouldn't ask yourself to continue tolerating that. And frankly, others shouldn't ask it of you. But the other should is thou shalt not should on thyself, i.e. things are going to happen that are not ideal. But let's look at this idea that it is right to acknowledge when things are off track and to come in with this new idea. You have an idea here, an idea that's really been getting to you, that's kind of been coming at you, that something about this dynamic, about what's been crafted so far, simply isn't working for you, that it doesn't feel good, that it's not actually as stable and sturdy as you would like it to be. In fact, I think it requires you overgiving in order to be maintained. It requires you abandoning yourself. It requires you putting everyone else before your own well-being. And if there's anything that we learn from this myth of Demeter, it's that this simply doesn't work, that we all get stretched way too thin when we engage in that. And you need to have places of rest. You need to reclaim your own self, your own power and energy, so that when you are giving, it's actually because you want to give. It's pouring from a full cup, not one that's primarily empty. Oh, how interesting. So we have here these cards that were kind of over top. We have the Ace of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. So really this is the second Queen of Cups here, okay? And we're seeing this Five of Pentacles, and I feel like it belongs up there. Again, it's this energy of feeling left out. But do you see how there's a key right here in this picture? And she could pick this key up and open that door and go inside anytime she wanted to. So there's a focus on what I don't have. The idea, and this comes right after this Four of Pentacles in reverse, right? 4 or 5 of Pentacles. It's this focus on what I don't have, on feeling left out, locked out even of what I believe, would be most fulfilling for me. And I think that's where the overgiving comes from. Over explaining, lack of boundaries always comes from an inner feeling of not enoughness. But we have here the Ace of Pentacles and this Ace energy and Queen of Cups in the upright and the Magician. So the Ace of Pentacles is all about creating a new structure, creating a new foundation, creating this new family foundation specifically. Pentacles is the suit of home, of family, the earth energy within the tarot. And this Queen of Cups, again, is looking at your emotional capacity, and like the love and the joy and the giving, But do you see the energy of this Queen of Cups is very, very different. This energy is connected. This energy is allowing the divine to flow through her and to pour into her cup. She's not overgiving. She's letting things come to her. So this would be a Queen of Cups who is in very good, healthy balance, right? And this Queen of Cups has overgiven out of this fear of being locked out. And then we have the Magician card, which is looking at wanting to create and to manifest a transformation. And the idea that you're pretty sure you actually have what you need. You may just need to really apply yourself to shifting this dynamic. And I think we're going to use the Wild Unknown deck. So I want to, before we move on, let's turn over our Moonology card, Speak Your World into Being. And so this is what we may not be seeing at the beginning of this, and this really connects with the Magician energy, that you have to use your voice and your intention. When we choose words, when we speak them into the world, we are creating what we want. Your voice is incredibly powerful. And so with this Magician and this Speak Your World into Being, you've been holding yourself back. It's not just, it's not that other people have been like, pushing you down and pushing you down. You've been holding your own self back. You've been not speaking your truth and acknowledging the truth of these dynamics and the ways that the way you've been showing up in the world hurts. Because we're really looking at collapse. This Demeter going into this winter season, this is where we were talking about just a moment ago, this collapse of your systems, this pain, difficulty sleeping, depression, anxiety, not finding joy in the things you used to love, having a hard time connecting, digestive issues. All of these things are showing up because there is a collapse of what does not work about this dynamic. You can't actually overgive perpetually. If you do that for too long, your body, there's a wonderful book on trauma by Bessel van der Kolk called The Body Keeps the Score. And this is really about the fact that your body is keeping a record of all the times you've overgiven. Because it can't help it. Because when you overgive, you're draining your own resources past the point that they ought to be drained. And then you're having to pull from your body's deepest level resources in order to simply function. And it's not actually an infinite supply. There is an end to how far your body can continue to overfunction, how far your spirit can continue to overfunction when your own cup is not being filled. So see here this Queen of Cups again in the upright here, and that she is letting the source chi, the universe, flow to her. She's not chasing it down the way Demeter was chasing down her daughter who was missing, the way she was chasing down that meaning or purpose, trying to fill a hollowness inside herself. This queen has filled herself and is now allowing others to pour into her. So speaking your world into being is what we're not seeing here. That, of course, as all of us were, you are part of creating this dynamic that you're inside right now. And there were good reasons for it. But the reality is it's just not working for you now. And so this is where being very intentional with manifestation, with speaking your world into being, is so critical to create the change that you want to see in your life. So I'm just looking for one or two. There's one, more cards. As we look at this shifting dynamic and the opportunity to transform, what's the advice relating to the opportunity to transform? Okay, interesting. So we have the Son of Pentacles, or that would be the Page of Pentacles. We have the Two of Cups and the Four of Wands. So the Page of Pentacles is a new beginning, similar to Ace of Pentacles, but not as formed, not as like strong of a beginning energy. Page of Pentacles is an incoming message, a conversation, this idea of creating a shift, but like step by step in measured fashion. And I love the amount of Pentacles energy in this because that aligns so closely with this Earth Mother energy. But seeing here, so as we look at this transformation, it's really like step by step. What do you want? Speak it into being. And what we're seeing is part of what you want is to feel more connection and love. Two of Cups is really like loving coming together energy. And when we look internally, we see that there has been an unwillingness to stand for your own self-love as much as you will for your love of other people. There has been some level, particularly in your family dynamics, of being willing to believe that other people matter more than you. And my love, they have to matter as much. Not more, and not even necessarily less, okay? But as much. There has to be equality there for there to be a healthy exchange, a healthy give and take. And that is what we see in the Two of Cups, is this coming together as equals, the parts of yourself and the others in your family system, since this really is a family-oriented reading. And then seeing here, when we have the Four of Wands, and this came out originally in the reverse, but it honestly, it just didn't feel right, which is why I put it back in the upright. Four of Wands has to do with celebration and community and coming together. Really, we're seeing this like sowing a seed with Son of Pentacles, sowing a seed of change, knowing that it's going to take time, and then being willing to come together with the parts of yourself that have felt the need to self-abandon, but also the other people in your family in this dynamic, coming in with love, with this offering of cups, speaking from the heart, but also noting that what we've had has not actually been an equivalent relationship. It's based on me overgiving to a level that hurts. And now I'm sick. Now I don't feel well. And we're not blaming others for it. Again, that's an enmeshed dynamic, because when we blame other people, we're pretending that we're not the powerful creators that we are. If I blame you, I'm saying you have all the control in this situation and I have none. But the truth is, I am a conscious co-creator of my life. So how can I say I have been creating this dynamic as well? I've been overgiving. I have been succumbing to my anxieties and my fears and my insecurities, and I have overdone to the point, I've overfunctioned, I've overgiven to the point that I'm not well and I need your help. I need your help in shifting this dynamic so I can be okay. So that's what we're seeing here in this opportunity in this family dynamic. Like both of these cards in different ways in their own suit are really looking at coming together and celebrating this actual love, this joy that's underneath this family dynamic. It's not just the burdens. You've experienced a lot of the burden recently. And again, we're talking that winter season from the myth, that burden and that loss and that overgiving and overcarrying. But the joy is there too. If there wasn't joy, none of it would be worth it, right? The joy is there too. We have to have a little patience in getting all the way to it. We have to have a little patience in shifting this dynamic to one that will serve us better, because it took us a long time to get where we are. I'm going to get one more card, one final message to kind of seal this reading today. And the horse, freedom. So the freedom that comes when we own our own part in a dynamic and let other people own theirs. And that's when we can look at the horizon, when we can look at the future, when we can look at what is coming into our world and feel excitement instead of heaviness. We can feel repletion, like fullness, rather than exhaustion. We can feel our energy and our spark and our interest in running for the far horizon. So this is the energy, this freedom, when we establish healthy boundaries, when we insist on doing the work and taking the time to have right relationship with myself and with those in my immediate family unit. Freedom is what comes from that. If you want to receive the deeper energetic transmission from today's archetype, I've channeled a couple messages for you. They'll be linked in the description box below. So when you're ready, check them out for more support. And thank you so much again for being here, love. Thank you for showing up with courage and an open heart for your own story. And until next time, be gentle with yourself, okay?